get on. I touched the wrong thing. I touched the wrong place. You know how the screen sometimes wiggles? Well, I go to touch something and it wiggles away. It hits something else, and my screen starts to take off somewhere else. Starts giving me instructions on how to join SteamYard and all the oh man.
Yeah, and you suddenly realize, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you popped on and popped off. It was weird. It was weird. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, others. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Talking Niagara. Thursday morning. This is June 18th, 2026. Okay.
My apologies, everyone. I was late coming on. I was daydreaming on some aspects of the news. Didn't realize how late it was. Then I kind of stumbled my way, hit the wrong buttons trying to get on, and I apologize for accidentally withholding my wisdom from all of you.
Okay, so CBC will no longer be airing NHL games. Yeah, and a lot of people are disappointed. Doesn't impact me. I'm not really an NHL fan. I might watch some of the playoffs.
I haven't watched I've watched maybe about 2 hockey games in the last 3 years. I watched the highlights.
You're the cause of it, man. You're the cause of it. It's people like you that are causing the CBC no longer to cover hockey.
Well, I have indoor antenna for one thing, and I actually love hockey. I love playing it. All the sports that you watch, football, hockey, lacrosse, I really love playing them way more than I do watching them. I played just about every sport you can think of. I didn't play soccer, but just about any other sport. I played hockey, I played football, I played lacrosse, all contact sports, all excellent, and I would recommend them to any young kid coming up. I would recommend that any sport for any kid, actually, you don't have to be a contact sport, but play, don't pay is my advice. Now, when you watch it on TV or go to watch it, you're paying. But if you're supporting your local team, I think it's better, in my mind, not to watch a hockey game, but go to a local to watch your local team play and support them. Like I haven't gone to hockey games or anything, but I go to lacrosse games. And I think pretty soon the playoffs are going to happen for the seniors and the senior and junior B lacrosse teams, and I hope the St. Catharines Athletics field a good team, both in the B and A and B leagues, because you can go up there to Brock Athletic Center there and watch a damn good game of lacrosse, really, for low money. I think it's $10, but for seniors it's $5. You can't get a better deal, man. And you're going to get super entertained because they play an excellent game of lacrosse.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing for local hockey teams if you could.
Yeah. I went to a game back in the 80s. Somebody I worked with said, come to an ice hockey game. It was with a South London, in South London, place called Streatham, and it was a BHL game, British Hockey League game, and they were playing the Sheffield Steelers, who was actually for a long time the best that British ice hockey had, and the Streatham team, this name I don't remember. You know, I think. If I look them up on
so how was the game? Tell us about the game. It doesn't matter the name of the sport.
I couldn't figure out how the hell the game worked, and even though my friend who took me there said this is how the game works, it didn't mean a damn thing to me. And I also found that when they run around the edge of the boards, and somebody smacks a person on the side of the board, leaving blood on the boards, and I'm thinking, what the F? This person doesn't get a red card and is out of the game.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all a matter of you play the rules. But anyway, let me get back to the story. Of like, I only mentioned that I don't watch much in the way of sports on TV.
Yeah.
I will make the exception the odd time for a lacrosse game, but the fact is that this is a tradition. Hockey Night in Canada has been a tradition for 76 years or 74 years. So it's 3/4 of a century basically on TV. And if you want to go back further than that, it was on radio. I think that began in the mid-30s.
Yeah.
So every person my age will remember Foster Hewitt. He was the voice of Hockey Night in Canada. He was the play-by-play guy on radio and TV, and so on. So it's a sad day when you can't take your national broadcaster and flip on and have confidence that you're going to be able to watch a good hockey game. Mm-hmm. Now, we kind of owned it, and so we thought, oh well, Canadian National News, the CBC, would naturally be the one to broadcast the hockey game, but that world has changed. Yeah, we don't own the game anymore. The game is international. And international conglomerates, media conglomerates, are going to vie for, if it's going to be profitable, they're the ones that are going to scoop it up. And Rogers has grabbed it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think NHL hockey, football, all that should be available to everyone free on their television set.
Yeah, they've acquired broadcast rights for $5.2 billion. Presumably, that's $5.2 billion played to the NHL.
Yes. Well, somebody has had confidence in hockey going forward. It's going to be a much more universal game going forward. The United States fielded an extraordinarily good hockey team during the Olympics, both male and female. And don't forget that the Russians and the Czechs and all of them have had really good teams going back. The Finns and the Swedes, the Italians even got good teams. The Chinese are getting into it. Hockey is going to expand, and I love it because it's going to tap into more and more athletic talent all around the world.
Yeah.
I don't expect the Democratic Republic of Congo to field a team anytime soon.
Of course not, because they're in the middle of, it's summer all year round there, right? What interest have they got in playing hockey?
That's right. So, but that's the world it is now. And you're going to find people that never watched cricket before start watching cricket.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I would say that. Okay.
Yeah, you've got all of these sports that are out there taking our attention, where hockey was the only thing in Canada for a long time.
No, we had everything else, but we imported it. Like every kid I knew, we played baseball in the summertime, we played football in the fall, and we played hockey in the winter.
Yeah, that
was when I was growing up. That's what you did. So pretty much all summer long, you played baseball.
Yeah, but again,
and these were all pickup games too. Imagine, because we had lots and lots of kids. So every fall, as soon as school started, everybody started collecting in the parks, and we'd have these pickup games of football. Yeah. And we'd use the big old Canadian football, the original CFL football, which is more the size of a rugby ball.
Mm-hmm.
And we would play with that, and then it was off to hockey.
Yeah. So you'd have this 3 sets of games. You see, we had what would happen is when we went back to school, it was football time, i.e. soccer, And when Easter came about, it was cricket time. That was it, right? Or athletics.
Yeah.
You know?
I found out recently that cricket dates back to about the 1500s.
Cricket dates back. I come from Hampshire. The oldest cricket in its current known form comes from the middle of Hampshire, and the club is still there today. The actual grounds are still there today in the middle of Hampshire. Hampshire is the birthplace of cricket, but cricket essentially had prior things from the 15th century. Right?
Well, sure, but what date did it
in the in the mid 15th century, so the
15th century, 1400s, then 1400s. Wow,
1450s, 1460s. Yeah, it's an old game, but it's not the oldest on the planet. Actually, wrestling seems to be about the oldest that I can figure out.
Well,
because wrestling seems to exist in all continents, right? There was wrestling matches in Asia. There was wrestling matches in Greece. There was wrestling matches in the Americas, dating way back. So that's about the oldest sport that I could figure out.
There's wrestling matches on the front lawn of the White House.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that goes back a long way. So that's pretty cool. And and remember, sports have a funny thing. Like cricket developed in Britain in the 1400s. Soccer developed in Britain in the 1800s, 1830s. I think also rugby also developed in Britain.
Well, yes.
Developed in Britain. All these games seem to have come from Britain.
Yeah, actually, soccer, they created the clubs in the 1800s. The rugby, they created the clubs in the 1800s. But the game itself goes back to at least the 1600s. And in fact, there's, again, soccer, some of the basic ideas about soccer as we know it, that's another game that's from across the world before rules were created. But the British were the first to create the rules.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I don't know. When I was in India, they told us that Hinduism was the second. Hinduism was the second largest religion in the subcontinent of India after cricket.
Yep, that's the one. That's for sure. And the interesting thing is about
it there.
Yeah. The interesting thing is about the introduction of cricket into India. It was actually brought there by the British Raj, but they basically started playing the local people, and it just took off. It was something the Indians loved.
Well, the Afghanis really like it too. That's a little bit of a.
Oh yeah.
When you're in an oppressive society like that, I mean, it's nice to have something you can do that. The Taliban aren't checking out your, every minute of what you do.
Afghanistan recently beat Sri Lanka, who is a top class cricket nation, in a T20 match. Right.
Okay, so back to the story. We're not going to get Hockey Night in Canada. It ends. All things come to an end, I guess, and Hockey Night in Canada will not survive. The iconic theme song dun, 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 that was written by a lady back in the 50s, I think it was.
It would have to be.
Yeah, and she was and they started using it. There's always been some kind of issues about who can use it and when they can use it and all this other stuff, but that was the iconic theme song for Hockey Night in Canada. But really, if you're my age, you know that every Saturday what happened, or I think every Saturday what happened is you turn on the TV and watch the hockey game. It was every Sunday you watched Ed Sullivan, but every Saturday it was the hockey game. You're fired. Oh, Ron McLean issues apologies for remark during Stanley Cup. Seems Don Cherry got treated worse. Yeah, I didn't really like Stop Being Late, Dave. Yes, I apologize. I apologize. Not only was I late, but I messed up trying to get on.
And Mike is basically giving you a written warning, a verbal or written warning for a late attendance. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I'm so sorry that I have delayed expounding my wisdom.
I can't say anything because a couple of weeks ago when I had my computer troubles, it all just, it just killed the whole damn lot, didn't it?
Yes, and you can be assured if I could think of a reason to blame you for my lateness, I would, but I couldn't this time.
He still doesn't understand cricket. Yeah, cricket's actually cricket's actually got more stats than baseball. So the idea of that, the basic idea of cricket is that the people who are fielding have got to get the batting team out, and when the batting team now fields, they've got to get they've got to get the other team out for less than the runs that they scored. Simple, really.
Yes, well, cricket developed as a sport for the wealthy, and that's why they could go on for days playing the single game. I think the much more reduced and refined game of cricket is so much more popular nowadays because you can actually get through a game. Same as rugby 20s or something they call them, and they've a couple of games like rugby and cricket. They've reduced, they've streamlined the games. Yeah. And it's made it more popular because originally a lot of these games were designed for the upper crust of society.
Yeah,
they were the ones that, like in 1830. Can you imagine that the actual farmer or factory worker having any time at all to play any of these games? So it was designed with people with leisure time on their hands and didn't depend on audiences.
And in fact, actually, the generation in Britain of the rugby league as opposed to rugby union was because certain clubs, the only way they could compete was by paying the people for their time off work, because they were miners, they were steel workers, they were whatever. So they paid them for their time off work, and that basically got those clubs kicked out of the rugby football union and created the new sport of rugby league, which is essentially the same except for a few rule changes here and there. Right?
You see, to me, soccer is a great sport, but I would prefer rugby any day. But then again, I come from a place where I played football. Rugby is the one I missed because I didn't get a chance to play it, but it looks like one of the ones I would have really liked.
Yeah.
Because the sports I liked, of course, were hockey, lacrosse, and football. Kind of the rough and tumble stuff. But anyway, they're always fun, and for a young man, it's good to sort of get the pea and vinegar out of you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's over. We can get back to the story again. We're getting off.
No, it's over. It's done. It's done. Hockey Night in Canada's done on the CBC.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Niagara on the Lake candidates, registered candidates. So at the at the moment, the candidates for Lord Mayor is Vaughan Gottler and Andrea Kaiser.
Oh, Andrea. Okay.
Andrea Kaiser, yeah. So there you go. Candidates for town councillor include Weston Miller, Steve McGuinness, Gary Burrows, who's actually a pre-existing councillor, and don't have it. So there's only 3 that have put their name in to date. DSBN school board trustees, they've got 5 on the list. Mike Brissell, Jennifer Adjundi, Lauren Bubnick, Kate Baggett, and Jonathan Fast. the Catholic school board, there's Larry Hubers for trustee. All right. On the French
Okay,
school,
what's
and
the
the
next
French
story?
school board, they've got Amanda Leduc.
Okay.
Right. Nothing else.
All right. What's our next story?
Yep. Okay, exactly. I put these in because we just got to inform everybody. Right, hang on. We've got 4 comments. Roger Stream Services, soccer's the best. No longer OTA. Oh wow, good thing I miss it. Good thing I miss it a lot. Okay. Who is the vice's chair and chair for the region? Yeah, we don't know. We
We
still
don't
haven't.
know. No.
We don't
Like,
know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we still haven't heard that. I've not seen an announcement on it. Okay. So moving on. Sweden has just passed a law, good behavior law, which will allow them to kick out misbehaving migrants. Although this is actually a bit problematic because what they basically said is if you've got things like unpaid debts, doing undeclared work, or links to extremist organizations, and how would you prove any of those things? And some of those things are not necessarily criminal. And like unpaid debts, well, we've all got unpaid debt. Most of us have got unpaid debts. Like we've paid a bit of our credit card, we're still paying it off. What do they exactly mean by that?
well, basically, let's run it back a bit here. We've done stories here on this show, and I don't know if anyone remembers, but Sweden has a real problem, a very, very, very bad problem. They, like a lot of other European nations, opened their doors to a lot of refugees coming into the country. But that turned out to be a very bad move for Sweden because they got a lot of really bad ones, and crime rates skyrocketed. All kinds of gang violence skyrocketed, drug importation skyrocketed, and the Swedish police were unprepared for this because they'd had a relatively low crime rate and low crime incident. When all the refugees started coming in, the crime rate skyrocketed, violent crime skyrocketed, abuses of the system skyrocketed. The refugees were easily found out that normally in normal refugee crisis, they're allowed this, that, and the other X, Y, Z rights, and they were abusing them terribly. Now, the problem for me, what I see here is there's going to be legitimate refugees here, but we do know that most of the refugees that came in the huge waves were economic refugees. Now, what's happened is the refugees come into a place like Sweden, can't get good jobs, can't really blend in. So many of them then turn to crime. The Swedes have had a horrible time of trying to figure out how to get rid of the bad apples.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had to tighten up their laws over and over again. But the bad guys, basically, among the refugees, figure out new and better ways to get get around that, including going back and forth to Denmark and confounding the Swedish authorities this way or that. So basically what they've come up with is a rule that if you behave badly, you're allowed to come into the country and claim refugee status, but we're gonna decide whether we like you or not. And if you start to behave badly, start to get into crime, start to amass debt, like how are you going to come after somebody that has no substance but finds a way of amassing debt and puts pressure on the system that way? So I don't know. There is, of course, a lot of complaints about how this will work itself out, but Sweden has to do something. We found that when Angela Merkel let 1,000 or 1 million Syrian refugees into the country, they had a terrible time blending in,
Yeah.
and refugees quite often did not behave well. Their cultures did not mix well.
Yeah.
If the refugees saw a nice looking girl walking down the street alone, and she wasn't, and she may have had tight clothes on or something, they immediately thought she must be a prostitute, because in their own culture, nothing like that would happen. And the women would be not walking down the street unattended. So if a woman by herself was walking down the street, she must want it, basically. So there's a lot of cultural problems. And when you get massive refugees like that, if you don't control your immigration like we're supposed to be doing it here in Canada, then
we've got another story about that later on.
We're going to get a lot of bad apples.
Yeah.
So Sweden. This is one of the solutions Sweden has come up with. It is costing Sweden a huge amount of money too. The refugees come in and they're entitled to X amount of money, X amount of rights, places to stay, and all of this. And we find that many of them quickly find a way of abusing the system because it wasn't designed to protect. Oh, okay. Bye-bye, Mike. Have a good day. Yeah, I sent this article to Mike by accident the other day. This one we're talking about now, yeah. But Mike liked it. Anyway. Yeah. So Mike won't be working much longer. A couple more weeks, I guess.
Next week, I think, is it?
Yeah. Don't forget to collect Pogie, Mike.
Okay. But one of these these groups, local groups, they're civil rights defenders, have basically been saying the good behavior law leaves people in uncertainty about what actions or expressions can be used against them. It undermines the rule of law and the principles of equality before the law, because in fact, actually, unpaid debts. If you miss a payment or something, does that mean you're going to get thrown out of the country?
Well, it doesn't elaborate what it is, unpaid debt. I have a feeling
that's a problem.
It's just not the credit card debt that some people get into everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Like I pay my credit card off every month, so I never get into a hole. But here they may find a loophole that allows them to accumulate debt that they know they'll never be able to pay off. So I think that's it. I don't think it's just
that's a different matter. That's a different matter.
I don't think it's just I don't think it's just a matter of getting in debt. There's got to be more to it.
Yeah. That's a different matter. Exactly. There's got to be more to it. And typically, you see, we have laws on the books that do mean that in Canada, if you commit a crime as a migrant, if you commit a crime and you're imprisoned for it, you could be thrown out of the country. Right? It's options for that to happen at the end of the day.
So basically, they say unpaid debt, but they don't elaborate on what that means. Obviously, it doesn't mean you're not paying your. So it's unpaid debt. It's not like when somebody gets behind and has credit card debt, like so many of us do. They're actually paying it off. I mean, they've got behind and they're carrying the debt.
Even if you miss a month on credit card, that's not unpaid debt. You just catch up next month or something, right?
Yeah, so it's got to be much more than that. So it's not unpaid debt of some kind or another. They don't elaborate.
Yeah.
Now there is, of course, the ever-present civil rights thing. Are we doing what we should be doing as a matter of civil rights? Now the fact of the matter is, of course, the government has to answer for everything they might not be doing right, or with the rights of refugees. On the other hand, a lot of the refugees have found ways in which to abuse the system.
Yeah.
And So
what
the government's in a situation where they know somebody is abusing the system, and they have to be very careful of how they then approach that person to get rid of them out of the country, because the government has to cross their T's and dot their I's, whereas the abuser of the system does not.
Yeah. And basically, I think Rick has hit it on the nail. I believe they're talking about fraud, right?
Well, they're fraud. Remember, there's a lot of criminality involved here as well.
Yeah.
So so there's a lot of criminality involved. So it doesn't really go into so much, but it sounds on the surface, it sounds trivial. Oh, if you don't behave well, we're going to kick you out of the country. That's pretty much an understatement. And it is, if you get involved in crime, if you accumulate debt, but it doesn't say like credit card debt. It means something else, of course.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the party that's in power now in Sweden got there by promising to do something about it. So just about every Western democracy nowadays has problems with their outdated means of dealing with refugees and immigrants.
Yeah. Well, and the next one, of course, is we're going to be talking straight about the same sort of thing in terms of Canada, because there are experts are saying that closing the doors as socioeconomic issues upend decades of long consensus on immigration within Canada. So they're talking about a troubling shift. And again, this is groups like the FCJ Refugee Center, which is, and the person who's talking here is a lady by the name of Diana Gallego, and she was saying basically that she was troubled by Mark Carney's well-touted speech at the World Economic Forum at Davos, and saying that she saw him going to Davos with this beautiful, but internally policies are telling us another story. Canada is closing its doors. That's what they're saying. That we're not open with our neighbors, but we're closing the doors on our neighbors in terms of immigration.
Well, but basically, this is an Al Jazeera article, right? Al Jazeera article. And it's good to have somebody from the outside looking in. And the article is Inside Canada's, in italics, troubling shift on migrant and refugee status. Now, this is a very interesting article because it's a very lengthy article and it covers a lot. Now, what it does here, though, it does sort of on the surface take the side of the migrants and those people who are trying to support the immigration people. Now, but it does go into the fact that we do have, at one point there under Justin Trudeau, 8% of our population were illegals or temporary workers coming to the country. It does go on to say that policies of Justin Trudeau were probably the things that turned the Canadian public against refugees and soured our attitudes towards refugees.
Exactly.
Now what it does do, though, which is rather unfair, I think, is now take on to conflate what Mark Carney has said at Davos about a country now facing up to the big powers, and somehow conflates what he said there, that optimistic, sort of hopeful speech going forward, that we can be different than the big bad powers, sort of somehow conflates that with the immigration policy in Canada. When it says that somehow that doesn't jive, that Canada's ideology spoken at Davos was contrary to what was happening in their immigration department. But at the same time, telling you that they had 8% of the population were not here legally.
Yeah, they're talking about, to put that into actual numbers, 8% of the population, we're talking 3.15 million people. So by October of 24, there were that many non-permanent residents in Canada. And I'm sure that many of them would like to become permanent residents. Many of them are offering good, doing good things in Canada, but there's many of them. The challenge, of course, is with a lot of people is that number is way too high.
The problem here is it's multifaceted. We had the student problem. Basically, the universities and colleges were making massive amounts of money on foreign students, so they would let them in. If your toenail, if they put a mirror under your nose and it fogged up, okay, you're alive, so you qualify for a Canadian student refugee. The problem is a lot of the students, when they came here, some of them didn't even go to school, and a lot of them didn't leave. And when the Canadian government under Justin Trudeau said, "What are you going to do about that?" They said, "Well, most of these people are going to leave on their own account." No, that's how ridiculous it is. So they don't mention something like that in an article like this, because they've definitely taken a lean towards the refugee and the migrants. However, they do put in enough facts in there to sort of balance it. Remember, we had students, we had workers. We had the country opened its door to temporary workers. Do you think those temporary workers are going to go back home on their own? No, they're not. Lots of them are going to try to stay here. Of course, that was their window into the country. They had the temporary workers, they had the refugees, they had the students, and they had tourist visas. We remember what happened when we stopped requiring a visa from Mexico. We got thousands of people coming here, flying into Canada, and immediately claiming refugee status, which means that there is going to be a number of years, months, if not years, before that can be determined. In the meantime, you have the right to stay.
Yeah.
So the articles here, it should actually be compared to what was happening in Sweden, basically, in a way. Although we don't have the same problem with criminality as they do in Sweden, but they found that they had a lot of people coming in under false pretexts. They were not the Swedes and Canada opened its doors to refugees and found that they were being scammed. Basically, if you had enough money to pay the people smugglers, you're going to get in. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah,
that's the problem. If you have 3.5 million people, and when an article like this then takes the view, now it did not really take a side, but it mentioned those people who were behind the refugees and were appalled by the immigration policy reversals. So it looked as if the writer was actually siding with that, or at least has sympathies that way.
Yeah.
Not necessarily if you read the whole thing, because all the facts were there. How Canada messed up, how the refugee and it goes into a long bit of housing, economy, lack of jobs, and it connects that with what the attitudes people have towards immigrants because of those things, which is accurate.
Yeah. And again, the whole point is that, essentially, a lot of the criticism in this article is about Justin Trudeau's regime and about the criticism that regime fell under about allowing a free flow of immigrants, particularly refugees.
Yeah, so it's very interesting to see from the outside looking in, and when we were living through it, it appeared, but couldn't be proved 100%, that the Canadian government made some pretty bad decisions. Were not very, very professional, if you'd like to use that term, in the way in which they dealt with immigrants. A lot of it was quick decisions. Okay, during COVID, we don't have enough people to cover the jobs in Tim Hortons, so we'll bring in massive amounts of them, and then we're going to have to say, okay, now we don't need you, go away, and then they can't get them to go away. So what Carney's doing here, and the criticism of Carney basically in this, is that he's kind of reversing that, and that his political philosophies espoused in Davos don't necessarily go along with what Canada's doing with the immigration policy. But I don't follow that at all.
The two are not necessarily related.
No, I don't think the connection was well made.
Yeah. The two are not necessarily related, because what he was talking about in Davos was economics, not about free flow of people.
Well, you see, his critics will latch onto things. Now, it wasn't Al Jazeera that was saying that kind of thing. It was the people they were interviewed with that took the side of migrants, basically.
Yeah. But a lot of the criticism of this article is really leveled at the Trudeau regime, not the new Carney regime.
No, I think I think it's overstated when people say that people dislike the refugees and the migrants because of higher housing costs and fewer jobs. Yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely. If a new migrant comes in and gets a job on the city road crew, when your kid's trying to get a job, yeah, you would definitely start to be angry about stuff like that. But on a larger scale, I just think that the Canadians were against what was happening in immigration because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
We are supposed to be, as Canadians, we're supposed to be taking the cream of the crop. We're looking for the best engineers, the best teachers, the best doctors.
Yeah.
Those are the wherever we require them. We want those people
but
in the country.
But the temporary foreign worker program just almost let almost anybody in, right?
That's right. And what would happen too is somebody would buy, say, somebody who's already here, let's say somebody from South Asia was already here, then he'd start hiring all of these contractors that came in, or the workers. They'd start a contracting company and fill it up with the temporary workers, and that gave them a shield to dodge immigration.
Yeah,
it gives them a job. They could pay. Like I talked to somebody whose neighbor was from somewhere in South Asia. They had all the crews they brought in to refix the house and all that were not born here, basically. So they were temporary workers, basically. They were not Canadian. So they come in and they get jobs from other people in their own ethnic group, and that somehow they dodge that. Meanwhile, people see that and say, "I can't get away with that,"
Yeah.
So there's acrimony based on that kind of thing, and I know that too because if you ever be trying to get a job, and you try to get a job in the city when they're trying to diversify, let's say the city or the region or something, and the city or region now has to diversify their hiring, so they get a guy in there. It doesn't even matter if it's from Eastern Europe, or usually it's they try to get a person of color or something like that, and you've been trying to get a job on the road crew of the region, and then you look, there's 3 guys there, 2 from India and 1 from Africa, and they can't speak the language all that well, but they got a job that you wanted, but because they had the diversity type of thing going on, that they have to hire somebody that looks a little bit different. I think, of course, that drives up acrimony, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, but there are a lot of misunderstandings in relation to immigration, because there's a lot of, you get all of these sort of things that, the old things that, hey, your immigrants are taking your jobs, backed up by the claim that immigrants, that Canadians won't do won't do certain jobs that immigrants will.
What job? What job?
Well, I've seen this used in so many times that they're going, oh, the only people who we can get to do certain jobs like bin men is immigrants. Canadians
No.
won't do them, right?
No,
And
there's lots of Canadians will do the garbage collection. What they're mostly talking about is agricultural work, and those
Yeah.
and so there's an element of society says we should keep the temporary workers, agricultural workers, all year round, but they cannot sustain themselves because their skill levels are too low. But
Yeah.
they can come in for parts of the year and do agriculture.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
that.
But
Yeah,
what I'm
so
saying
that's an argument that's put out there, but I don't buy it most of the time.
What I'm saying is that there's a lot of sweeping statements made about immigration that don't hold up to fact.
Yeah, basically, it has to be fact-based. But what we
Yeah.
found out with the government, particularly under Justin Trudeau, they swept the facts under the table because they wanted it to be a certain way. They wanted to be, the everybody welcome kind of idea. And so they pushed it. They pushed it. You got to hire this person or that person. I remember once, like, I go in the hospital one time and they have like a refugee, but a white refugee from Eastern. I believe she was from Eastern Europe, but she was impossible to understand. So I'm thinking to myself, why did this lady get this job that pays well as a receptionist and a white woman, and nobody can understand a thing she's saying? And then the staff gets angry at you because you ask for somebody else to speak, and it's like you should be trying harder to understand her. Why? This is an English-speaking country. I have difficulty I need somebody else to sort of help me out here. Same as the telephone calls when you phone the government. Sometimes I can't understand a thing the person on the other side is saying. Their accent's so thick. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, in the interest of diversity, they've hired somebody from another country, but they didn't test their language skills on an ordinary Canadian.
Yeah. There's that to it. But again,
that ruffles people.
Yeah, that ruffles a lot of people. Yeah, absolutely, it does. All right. So moving on, Carney is saying he's seen the U.S.-Iran framework to end the war, and he calls it a game changer.
Yeah. Now this is. Remember, I mentioned the other day that the right wingers in Canada, or the Trump supporters, basically in Canada, the United States, or the right in general, cannot accept that there's anything but a black and white issue everywhere. Like in their particular case, Trump is right, Biden is dark and evil and incompetent, and Trump is absolutely right. So if you criticize Trump, then you must be a Biden. You must love Biden. Like, and they can't understand that you can dislike both of them, because in their world, it's a black and white world. Trump good, Biden bad. If you don't like Trump, you must like Biden. Well, I found that here in this article too. Basically, we find the people. Carney says that the deal is a game changer. He likes the deal, and the left in this particular case are aghast. Why do you think this is a good deal? This is very strange. Well, you know why? Because he read the deal and he liked it, and he doesn't care what kind of political
Well,
what kind of political
one,
circus surrounds it.
yeah,
Now, in the States, of course, on the left, they would automatically dismiss the deal right away before they even read it. But up here, Carney reads the deal and he says, I kind of like it.
yeah.
Why do you think he might have liked it?
And one of the things that he talks about is that, and he also, I lost my way, lost my focus. Sorry.
Well, my point is, why do the left media in the States, why are they aghast that the Carney might like this deal?
Yeah.
Why do they automatically assume something's wrong in the world? Like, shouldn't he be against it just because it's Trump?
Yeah, not necessarily, no.
But that's their mindset.
And the point being is that contradictory interpretations of what the deal is about is the whole ground of the press anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, what Carney's looked at this, and I don't know why everybody gets weird when he says, well, I think this is a game changer. I think it's good. He's not a traitor to his values. He read something and he thought it had merit.
Yeah.
Basically, that's all it is. Like, he's being truthful. Oh my gosh. He hasn't been a politician long enough to know that truth is the worst thing for you, unless it serves you directly. The fact of the matter is, I like it too. And the reason why I like it is it stops the war.
Yeah.
I think that we shouldn't bug Trump about this and keep annoying him about how bad the deal is. The deal is bad. It is a JCPOA dilution of the JCPOA. There's no other way. We mentioned that in this show a couple of months ago, that it didn't look as if they're going to be able to get a deal that was anything that didn't look similar to the JCPOA. And that's exactly what's happened here. But the fact of the matter is, Trump has realized what a mess he's made and how he got duped into a dumb war.
Yeah.
And he's got out of it. He's promised 38 times up till now that a peace deal is close, but he knows that he's got to get out of there, and he does. And he can pretend all he wants that he wins, and I think we shouldn't really bug him about that at all. But the fact of the matter is, the war is ending. The straits are going to open up, and it's going to it's going to be just in time.
It's likely still that it's going to take 60 days, though.
Yeah. Now, I don't know why it's such a game changer. Now, I think Carney's saying it's a game changer because it's pretty much the JCPOA all over again. It stops Iran from making weapons, that kind of thing. Pretty much just where the JCPOA was. But the fact of the matter is, Trump has realized that, and he's gone ahead with that, and he has stood up to Bibi Netanyahu, which is extraordinary. That belies the idea. There was always these rumors that Bibi had a lot of dirt on Trump due to the Epstein files, and he always held that over his head. Well, Trump has defied him, so that pretty much takes that argument out, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Trump has found that Bibi is very inconvenient, but Trump also knows that 75% of the Congress and 60% of the Senate is bought and paid for by AIPAC. He himself uses that money, the Israeli lobby money. But the fact of the matter is that he is actually standing up to Netanyahu and defying him, and looking for a peace deal that was much more sensible. Yeah. He's realized he got into an extremely expensive war that didn't make sense.
I think that was the pit that I was actually trying to sort out, is that a lot of this actual deal, this deal that they're working on now, excludes Israel from the negotiations, or excluded Israel in part from the negotiations.
Well, Israel doesn't want to be a part of it because they don't want to put their name on any kind of signature. It also excludes Hezbollah, doesn't it? So if you're excluding Israel, you're excluding Hezbollah. So we still can't get foreign journalists into Gaza, can we? So we still see that Israel does control the U.S. in many ways because of its powerful influences in the country. But for a guy like Trump, who has been lavished with praise in Israel, has taken massive amounts of Israeli lobby money to actually stand up to Netanyahu. I haven't seen this basically since Reagan, when Reagan straightened out the Israelis when it came to Lebanon many years ago.
I think we can talk. I think we'll have to talk further about Trump and Netanyahu relationship tomorrow, because we've got several articles about this one.
Yeah, so there it is. But anyway, we're near the end of our time here, and I'll bring up Gaza again as I did. This may be a game changer here. Finally, what everybody has been saying, and the president of the United States, wasn't Biden, it was Trump, who said to Netanyahu, "Why are you taking out a whole building to get one person? Why are you doing that? You know, that you've got to do better. You've got to do better than that. You're taking out a whole building to get one person. Sometimes they don't even be sure that the person's in there. And the only way to get them is to wipe out the whole building, kill a lot of innocent people, and then justify it by saying we have the right to protect ourselves." And Trump's called that out. Most of the time, any American politician just says, "Oh, well, Israel has the right to protect itself. These people are hiding behind 100 people, so those 100 people have to die for that one person to die. That's their right." That is immoral, unethical, and I'm very surprised it came out of the mouth of Trump that he actually said that. I think
he's had enough. I think he's had enough of war. He came promising. He came in his election promising that he would be dealing with peace. I don't, he has said from the outset that he's not a war president, and I think he's had enough of it. Right? What are we?
He got sucked in. He got sucked into this war.
Yes,
if you look at the testimonies of other politicians, including Hillary Clinton, day by day, practically when she was in the administration of Obama, it was almost day by day. Netanyahu says, "Okay, we got the planes on the tarmac. We're ready to go. We're going to go." And what we found out is they said, "Okay, go." But when it came to the fact this last war, Rubio said, "Oh, they had all their planes on the tarmac and they were going to strike them, so we had to strike them too." So they got sucked in. The thing that Biden didn't fall for, that Obama didn't fall for, and not even Bush fell for when it came to Iran, Trump fell for it. Now he's very humiliated, but he's getting out of it. He realizes pride is nowhere here to continue the war. Just pretend I won and go away. That's the best way out.
Yeah. All right. And Dave, we better say goodbye.
Without further ado, I bid you adieu. Don't forget Gaza. Never forget Gaza. It's a genocide. We let it happen, and we shouldn't let one like that happen again.
Okay.